This is Tactical Advantage with John Register, presented by Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center in partnership with Medicare Mentors, WireNut Home Services, and Star Dental Institute. Tactical Advantage brings news, information, and resources to military-connected people of color throughout the Pikes Peak region. Now, here's your host.
And want to welcome you in to Tactical Advantage on KPPF. Mike Lewis covering for John Register. John is doing some traveling, but he will be back soon here in Colorado Springs. It's an honor and privilege to fill in for John when he can't be here. And we want to let you know that Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center is sponsoring Tactical Advantage. They do so many wonderful things, and we're going to talk about Mount Carmel here in just a little bit, about what's going on, some new things going on, and what's going on in our community and how we're helping members of our community live better lives with your help and the help of Mount Carmel. Also, just a quick reminder, if you haven't checked it out recently, there's a brand new website at Mount Carmel. You go to veteranscenter.org, so the address is still the same, but it's been redesigned, a little bit more user-friendly, some information there for you. So go to veteranscenter.org if you want to find out all the great things that Mount Carmel has coming up in the near future. There are so many wonderful programs and services at Mount Carmel. Of course, you can follow them on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and the phone number, if you want to call Mount Carmel, 719-772-7000. Want to let you know they are located at 530 Communication Circle. That's on the west side of Colorado Springs off 8th Street. But soon, and we'll be talking about this in an upcoming segment with Paul Price, they have expanded into the Fountain area. So if you live in southern Colorado Springs or live in Widefield Security, Fountain, going to the Fountain Center, which will be opening soon, may be more convenient for you. Again, you're listening to Tactical Advantage. Mike Lewis covering for John Register. And good morning, and we are going to dive right into it. Again, Mike Lewis covering for John Register. He's out traveling throughout the country doing some great things, but he'll be back in Colorado Springs soon. You know, Mount Carmel and the Veteran Service Center do so many wonderful things for our community at large and for veterans really throughout the United States if they ask for help. Here, we're going to introduce you to a great lady who is going to talk about some great things her organization has done here in Colorado Springs. Jennifer Smith is with One Body ENT. Jennifer, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Thank you for having me.
It's our pleasure. So tell me, let's go ahead and dive right in. What is One Body ENT?
One Body ENT is an organization here since 2013, bringing the community together in a positive way through several events. ENT stands for entertainment. So we do a lot of shows with children. Mm-hmm. Our number one event is our Multicultural Black History program we've done for 9 years now. We've done it at Stargazers for about 3 years, going on 4. Even with COVID, we was able to make it happen. We always have standing room only at this particular event. We get tons of donations, which we won't stop getting those for each and every event we do. We like to get donations. We just moved into our own space right here in K-Land, and K-Land Community Cares is also a part of One Body ENT, where we give back to the community. Food, clothes. Christmas is coming up. We do Christmas in K-Land. We're having a Thanksgiving dinner that's coming up for free for our Men of Influence group that we have, which is a new group that we have. We're doing a fundraiser to get money to get food for the Thanksgiving dinner. So many things we're doing. I mean, everybody can be a part of it. Everything we do is free because we are a nonprofit. So it's easy to dive right in and get in where you fit in. We have a good time at the same time learning. Looking forward to it.
Can you tell us about what inspired the founding of this?
My husband is the founder, DeAndre Smith. Everybody knows him. He's from Colorado Springs. His heart for Colorado Springs is really what started this organization. Mm-hmm. I am not from Colorado. Everybody knows that. But at the same time, I'm following his lead to do whatever it takes to make this community positive. He's from K-Land. He wants it to be a place where everybody wants to go and be successful at having a good time and making sure that it's safe to be. So that's kind of where it came from.
Well, you mentioned COVID and the pandemic, which we're still dealing with in some ways, but you were able to work through that.
Yes.
How did the pandemic impact what you're trying to do, and tell us your story about how you worked through that, because that's been a challenge for a lot of people and businesses.
Yes, especially being a nonprofit that are always involved with people, lots of people. The Black History program was amazing because Stargazers, that was the very first event they did this year in February, allowed us to come and have about 150 people and we did a live stream. So we had about 800 people on the live stream, which is more than what the building can actually hold. And they only charged them $1 to hop on, $1 donation, which covered the amount for the venue. So it worked out to be able to do that. And then we had Juneteenth, where we actually did a virtual piece for that in June. It was outside, so everybody was able to be outside for those 3-day event that we did in June 18th, 19th, and 20th. So it was virtual, but outside, so people didn't have to worry about the distance because they can go. And it was at America the Beautiful, so we had plenty of room.
Nice.
So we was able to do 2 of the biggest events. We had about 8,000 people that came out to the event in June. And we had, like I said, at the Stargazers, the max was 150 with the people going live as well. So it's been rough. I mean, trying to figure out how to get people to be together. I was just talking to someone earlier about Christmas, and that was rough, having to just go to the car and not be intimate with Santa.
Yeah.
The kids wanted to touch him. They wanted to hug him. You know, who just reaches out the window to Santa? But they was able to take pictures with him at the car and smile. And this year we're hoping it's different to be able to maybe sit on Santa's lap. I don't know. Wink, wink.
Well, hopefully things are getting back to normal slowly, but I understand the caution. It's too early to tell, right?
Yeah, it is super early.
I love how you're helping people that are having food and clothing challenges, I guess, and that's great. Can you tell me just a little bit about, I think I already know the answer to this, but I don't want to put words in your mouth, about how pandemic increased people's need when it comes to food and clothing?
That's a good question, because that was the very first time we got a super big check. We called it the COVID Relief Fund. And so we was able to help families. 2020, that was the first time getting funding from so many people in the community. We went to King Soopers on the north and south side, and we was able to put food in baskets and do the 6 feet apart thing and give them food. And then clothes as well from Springs Rescue Mission. We helped out with them. And then over at Crossfires, they had clothes that we can give families at the same time with the food. But it was very difficult, but we received a lot of funding, and that's what make us kind of like the only nonprofit that actually was on the front line. A lot of them were scared to even come out, during the time, which you should be, but we was masked up, gloves. We had the hand sanitizer. We gave that out to families as well. And we just did the best we could to help those families in that time of need.
And did you see an increase in the amount of families that needed help?
The amount, yes, because that's why we got more money. They increased the money because we had so many families, and that's why we kept reaching out, telling everybody there's so many people calling us for different things, that they needed different kind of food, because some people were on this gluten-free diet and different things that they couldn't even afford to buy anymore because it wasn't working. So there's a lot of circumstances that we ran into that was helpful when we got the funding.
If someone is listening now and wants to be a part of helping see your mission complete, can they contribute? What do you need volunteers? I assume you could use cash donations, things like that.
So we have a website. It's www.onebodyklcc.org. So that stands for One Body KLAN Community Cares.org. And you go to that website. There's a volunteer link. There's also a donation link, and we get donations monthly from some people that actually believe in what we do. You can do it that way or do it whenever you can. But we take PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Zelle, anything it takes to get whatever the community needs.
In One Body ENT, do you have a certain area of the community that you focus on, or are you pretty much broad-based throughout the Pikes Peak region?
That's a good question, because we are broad, but KLAN community is southeast, but we do have our backpack and haircut giveaway up north off Austin Bluffs. Our board member is actually the executive director of International Spa Academy. So we do that in August. We head up north, which is a different location, but people from south come up there because they want to be a part of those free haircuts and backpacks. But we do service any area in the community. If someone reaches out from the west side, we meet them where they're at. We don't care. Our funding stretches across the whole city.
That is terrific.
Yep.
And thank you so much for helping our community become a better place for everyone to live. That's awesome.
Yes, thank you for having us to do that.
And I want to congratulate you. As I understand it, you were awarded this past March a Rising Star Award for the work you've done in our community. Congratulations. Tell me about the award.
Thanks to Rodney Gillette. He saw a need to have someone from the community get that award. He was our host for our Multicultural Black History program. I guess it's in action with the practices. We met every Sunday for 3 months, and he was a part of that. And then he also saw some of the work that we've done in the past that he didn't even know we were a part of. And so the Rising Star Award, you have to be 40, under 40. So it's like 40 under 40 is what it is. And so I just turned 40, so it was like perfect timing, I guess, to go ahead and knock that out. But I definitely appreciated the opportunity. I met John Register. He was a speaker there. It was just an opportunity opportunity to volunteer at Care and Share, to meet some wonderful people that actually got the award as well alongside, and to dress up and have a good time in the city during COVID. So I really appreciated the opportunity. And the award was really nice.
Well, again, congratulations. Sounds like well deserved. And I also am told in some of the information that I was given about you that education and educating is a passion of yours. Why is that?
I am a family outreach coordinator by day. I work at Colorado International Language Academy. Actually headed there now. I help families in crisis. And with education, people just think about books and they think about learning. But in order to do those type of things, you have to be stable, safe, and sane to have those things. A lot of the kids are not. I mean, they come to school hungry sometimes. Some of the kids don't have the right clothes. We have uniforms. They don't have uniforms to wear, even though that's the dress code. And my job is to make sure they're able to function and, be able to be educated properly by having the things that they need. Just like I do with One Body ENT for outreach in the community, I bring it home straight to the school as well and give them what they need. So it's like a win-win situation for the school and the community.
That's true.
So,
and education can really open up doors and make a difference in young people's lives, can't they, if they get the proper education?
yes, absolutely. So the school that I work at does German, Chinese, and Spanish 50% of the day. And those kids are high-performing students. And so giving them that cushion that they need for whatever Christmas help they might need, Thanksgiving, just being successful with the necessities, it helps so much with them learning, throughout the day and throughout the school year.
Another question we have for you, One Body ENT just had its 4th annual History of Colorado. Tell us about how you were honoring heroes in our community.
That's something that's really new. It's only like 4 years old. Like you said, most of our stuff is 9. We do community leaders that have been not under-recognized, but just normal people that are doing what they should in the community. Dr. Bertie Miller was honored this year, and she was someone I've never heard of. June Waller nominated her, but she's huge. Like, people know her, and so many donations came in just for knowing her. Like, they were so proud of her, and to meet her in person, for me, was an honor. And she's so humble. Like, she's kind of I get awards for this, and I really respected that from her. And Colorado history is also important because we give them the red carpet treatment. They feel like, they get these awards, they get to walk down the red carpet, they get flowers. And it was at the Story Church this year, so it was a nice setup, really beautiful. We had nice entertainment. Rachel Stovall was the host, and her husband had just passed from COVID, so we honored him as well. We had somebody play him, and they danced and sung and did exactly what he would have done, if he was here. So it was wonderful. It was very emotional, I would say, because it's COVID still, but we still had a good time and was able to have it, because we couldn't have it last year because most of those people are compromised because they're older. These are people that are legends in the community.
Right.
So we didn't want to have something like that. Just like our breast cancer event. We didn't have that last year, but we will have it this month on the 23rd at the Story Church. So many things that we're trying to get going again. Autism awareness. We didn't have that last year. Trying to have it next year. So it affected us a lot of things that people are looking forward to.
Well, I'm so happy that you're able to kind of reset, restart, and move forward. And we'll keep our fingers crossed and everything as we move into 2022.
Right.
And this will be a couple of years I think we'll all remember going forward.
Unforgettable.
Tell me about some family-friendly educational entertainment events that you have planned if everything goes as you anticipate.
I think I was speaking too soon because I just talked about a few. We're going to backtrack again. So October, which is this month, the 23rd, we have our breast cancer awareness. We celebrate survivors is what we do. We have the survivors come talk about their experience, and they get awards for that, just for being a survivor. And that's October 23rd at 1 o'clock at the Story Church. I'm here in the Springs off of Airport and Circle next to the Common Go. We have our Thanksgiving for the Men of Influence, which is a free event. We'll be at the Story Church as well. And that is on the 13th, free. All the food is free. The Men of Influence will be serving for that. And then Christmas in K-Land, it's always the 18th. It's like that Saturday right before Christmas. If anything changes, that we'll let you guys know, but Santa will be there passing out gifts. It's right there off of Airport and Circle as well. Our new location, which we are excited to open up for Christmas. We are taking donations for that. I have to throw that in because we want to stay open. It's new. Right. We just opened the doors in regards to painting and putting in furniture, but we will have a grand opening. We don't have the day for that yet, but it will be before Christmas to have that coming open. So, and
then how about your plans for Juneteenth Festival next year?
It's already on the calendar for America the Beautiful. It is still that 3-day weekend, but it'll be the 17th, 18th, and 19th this year. It falls on different days. 3-day festival that people enjoyed, something they've never done here in the community. They've done Juneteenth, but just not for 3 days. We met with the city yesterday. We've been meeting with the county. We've been meeting with banks. We've been meeting with all different people for donations. So if you want to give a donation to Juneteenth, this is the time. It's not June, it's now. So we want to go ahead and take those donations so we can get the ball rolling. We already have the park, which is the biggest thing. But everything else flows when everybody can donate and give what it takes to get it going. We'll have wonderful entertainment, national acts. Everybody that wants to be a part of Juneteenth, vendors, anybody, now we have a website, cosjuneteenthfestival.com. So if you want to go to the website, it's still up from last year, last year's Juneteenth. Good question.
All right. And I would like to go back to Christmas, because we talked about hopefully we can sit on Santa's lap and things like that. Are you needing donations of toys and things like that as we get closer to Christmas?
Brand new, though, because of COVID. We still have to be careful with anything used. So you can actually drop off donations at 2551 Suite 100. That's Airport Road. I guess we could just say you can start now because Christmas is tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be here before we know it.
Yeah, so I guess, and if you want to bring gifts to our event on the 23rd, if you're coming to the breast cancer event, we'll have a box there. So we'll have boxes kind of everywhere in that location in Story Church. And then for that location, 2551 Airport Road, Suite 100, we'll have a box there throughout the whole day to donate. But we do need donations. Cash donations will be great as well. Donate on the website. If you don't want to go shopping, we got you.
Okay. When it comes back to the Christmas donations, just again, and I know you'll take any gift is great,
yes.
But is there a certain age range that there's more of a need for, like younger kids or older kids, anything like that?
We saw that last year, that age range, that teenage age range, because I guess people don't think about the fact that they want gifts too. Yeah. And so between the age of 13 and 18 was rough. We gave a lot of gift cards. We had a wonderful donor. He doesn't like us to mention his name, but he came and saw the need and went and bought $500 worth of gift cards immediately when he saw that there were teenagers in the car, and we was kind of like giving them gifts, and they was like, well, what is it? You know, and teenagers are like that. They want to know what they're getting. I mean, I was like that. So gift cards are necessary so they can go shopping for themselves and make them feel good about what they're getting, something they actually want. But that's a good question. That was rough when we got to that age group and was like, oh, we gave out all the makeup. We gave out all the balls or whatever. So that age group is a big need.
Okay. I'm glad we asked that question because, I think a default, sometimes you think of an 8-year-old or a 7-year-old, but then but the teenagers, you're right there.
They definitely want gifts. So.
Well, Jennifer, it's been terrific meeting you, talking to you again. Thank you for everything you're doing for our community and making it better. Again, One Body ENT. What is the best way, again, to reach out to you?
Our website, or even on Facebook. We're on Facebook heavy, but www.onebodyklcc, that's KLandCommunityCares.org. So go to that website. You can donate. You can participate. Whatever you need to do, you'll see our events on there with the updates. And you can actually give us a call. We give our number out all the time, 719-502-7103. If you just like to talk, you want to text, we're available to help you with whatever need that you have. Gas cards is something that's really big right now. A lot of families are asking for those. So if you give donations, we will make sure that those families get those in their hand. And a lot of people have been getting those from us lately. So just had to throw that plug in there because we just got a message about that this morning. So we can get those.
Well, terrific. Well, let's all work together to make Colorado Springs an even awesomer place to live.
Yes, sir.
All right. Good to meet you. Take care.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
All right. Mike Lewis filling in for John Register on Tactical Advantage on KPPF.
Stay tuned for more valuable information on Tactical Advantage on KPPF.
It's time to smile again. At Star Dental Institute, Dr. Gary Moore and his staff specialize in general dentistry, dentures, and orthodontics, as well as sedation dentistry and dental implants at affordable rates. With COVID-19 restrictions being lifted, now is the perfect time to visit Star Dental Institute, Colorado Springs' premier full-service dentistry office and one-day denture service center. The message is basic. It's safe to come back to the dentist. To schedule an appointment, call 719-597-7979 or online at dentalcoloradosprings.com. Star Dental Institute, proud sponsor of Tactical Advantage. If you're Medicare eligible and military connected, Rich Lewis and Medicare Mentors will guide you through setting up coverage to make sure that you have the right options. Call Rich Lewis at Medicare Mentors at 719-886-3377. Medicare Mentors, personal guidance at no-cost consultation for military-connected service members. Committed to advocate for you today and all of your tomorrows. Proud sponsors of Tactical Advantage.
Now, back to Tactical Advantage.
And again, welcome back to Tactical Advantage. Mike Mike Lewis covering for John Register. I've met him many times before, and it's a pleasure to welcome him back. Paul Price. He is the Director of Operations for Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center, retired Air Force Colonel. Paul, it's good to see you again.
Mike, it's always great to sit down with you and chat about what's going on in the military community.
It is, and Mount Carmel has so many fun, exciting things going on, so we're going to dive right in. You're Director of Operations. You've got your finger on the pulse, so to speak, of the happenings at Mount Carmel. What do you want to share with us?
Well, we're expanding our operations. We saw with COVID that came into our lives, there was a huge need out there, and we looked around and said, okay, where can people use us? We never closed our doors. We went virtual, but we stayed in residence, if you will. And now we're expanding our operations down into Pueblo area. We're working out of St. Mary Corwin Medical Center. We've got a suite of offices. So next Monday, we'll be kicking this off with our opening down there. We are also expanding in Fountain. We've worked with the city leadership there, and we've got a new office in Fountain. So we'll be working our supportive service out of there. And also down in Trinidad, we have Mount Carmel Veteran Center representative down there working out of the Mount Carmel in Trinidad.
Terrific. And congratulations, by the way. You just recently celebrated your 5th anniversary. Jay Cimino was with us on Tactical Advantage to help announce the celebration of the 5th anniversary. And of course, I know Trinidad is very special to Jay.
Well, that's his childhood home. And he actually bought the Mount Carmel Church down there and then turned it into a community health and wellness center. And after he did that, he said, what can I do for veterans and where should I do it? Well, Colorado Springs is a great place to do that. So we were able to acquire a facility, and we stood that up a little over 5 years ago now, and 60,000 client visits later, where we continue to make a positive impact in this community, and we do that by collaborating with our partners.
Terrific. And I also wanted to congratulate you on expanding into Fountain, because I know Fountain is a huge area for military, both active and retired and veterans.
Absolutely. When we looked around the area and said, where can people use our services the most? We looked at Fountain, and then the city partnered with us, and we had done several events with them over the years. But when they said, why don't you put an office down here with us? We jumped at that opportunity. So we're excited to see how that takes off, and we'll be manning that office starting next week.
Terrific. Well, that office will have some services available for those folks in Fountain.
Absolutely. Yep, absolutely. And it will also be tied to our headquarters, if you will. So if you need a service that our representative in that office doesn't have the ability to provide, we're going to refer you over to our headquarters where that service is available, or we'll refer you to a partner. We call that a warm handover. We don't just give you a number and call. We actually do a warm handover with that partner organization, so you're not out there on your own.
It's the small things like the warm handover that really do make a big difference. And you mentioned the main center, so let's go ahead and just remind folks where it is again. 530 Communication Circle off 8th Street. If you know Colorado Springs, that is on the west side of Colorado Springs. The number is 772-7000. And Paul, let's go ahead and continue. You've celebrated a number of victories in making an impact on veterans and their families over the years. Please share with us some of the more memorable impact stories that stand out in your mind.
Well, I tell you, there's a lot of them. And when you change people's lives, that's one thing. But when you see those people that you helped come back to help other people, that's where this works. That's the only way we're going to pull this off, is the individuals that come through our program, they come back and support the people behind them. It's a real mindset in the military, and you're trained to do this, a collaborative, teamwork, resilient type approach to situations. Seeing that every day at Mount Carmel with people coming through and then coming back to help, that's just a tremendous aspect of how we're able to deliver those integrative services that we have. You're going to hear a little later on this program in the next segment, an example of exactly what I just described. An individual veteran did very well in the military, got out, went to one extreme of being homeless, family issues, dealt with several agencies, was not getting the support that he needed. He was connected to Mount Carmel, and I'm not going to spoil this story for you, but it is a tremendous story, and it's just an example of how somebody overcame the challenges in their lives and then was at the end of that turned around and used that hand up model, and he continues to to do that today, helping other veterans.
I can't wait to meet that individual. It sounds like we're going to learn a lot.
Absolutely.
As you were talking about the number of victories and services, what comes to my mind, Paul, and I've had the honor and privilege of working with Mount Carmel for a number of years and getting the word out, but every person that comes to you has a different need in a sense. Some person may be getting out of the military, discharging, retiring, and they need help with employment. Someone may have a mental health issue because of a PTSD or an incident that happened. It runs the gamut, doesn't it? And Mount Carmel is there to help fill all those needs.
Absolutely. Our model was right from the start was an integrative service approach. You may come into Mount Carmel because you don't have a job. Well, why don't you have a job? Well, my car broke and I can't get to work. Well, how about your wife? Well, we're having a huge fight right now and we're not getting along and the kids are really at risk. So what I just described is a real scenario of where I can help you with transition and employment. I can help you with behavioral health and I can help you with veteran and family resources. So before I go and put you in a job out there, I need to make sure you have a place to live, that your kids are taken care of, that you've got reliable transportation, that your head and your heart are ready to go step into a job in an employment capacity here. And there's a couple, I want you to succeed, but I also think about the guys behind you. Because if I send you into a company and they hire you and you're not ready to do that yet, they're going to balk the next time I highlight a veteran or a family member to go in that organization. So we want to make sure the individuals are right, whether it's getting food for their house or a bed for their kid or a new car or get a job. It's an integrative service approach. And I think that's what makes Mount Carmel unique is we're able to provide those services all in one location. And then if there's a service that you do need and I can't provide that, what we do is we have a network of providers out there, support agencies that are in the same game as us, taking care of military veterans and their families. So we're able to reach out to them, whether it be permanent housing or if it's more aggressive type counseling services. We're able to use that network and our core services at Mount Carmel to take care of the community.
There's a passion in this community, isn't there, for what you do?
If you look at the size of the community itself, let's say 400,000, 25% of that is military affiliated. That's a huge part of our community, not just from being citizens, but think about from financial standpoint, the money that goes back into this community because of the military aspect to it. So it's not only a good thing to do, it's the right thing to do. Let's take care of these folks.
It's kind of a family in a way.
It's a huge family. It's we call it the team approach. And in our lobby, there's several hands holding the American flag, and it's about a 5-foot statue. And that didn't show up by coincidence. That epitomizes our approach is we're in this together. We're here to take care of each other.
Paul, you and I have both served in the military, different branches, and pretty much sure that everyone who's listening right now who will understand where this question is coming from. I'm going to ask you next. There is among some service members a reluctance or a fear to reach out when they need help.
There is a mindset in the military of being self-sufficient and letting the other person go first. I might be hit, but this person's hit worse, so you take care of them first. So that reluctance to ask for help is one that I see prevalent in the community. And the way we get around that is to bring these people in and show them that we're not a government agency. We're not tied to other government type support agencies. We work with them, but we're confidential. We have 5-year track record of taking care of people. So we try to bring them in with aspect of our operation called Greet and Connect. We do a lot of outreach, but we want them to know this is a safe place. It's no cost, low cost. We've been doing this a while. We put points on the board. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to ask for help for you, your family, or your neighbor. We get so many referrals of individuals coming in saying, hey, I've got a friend that has this issue. We'll go out and contact that person. So that reluctance is a hurdle that we deal with every day. But I think the more we stay in the community doing the good things that are going on, the more that challenge is being pushed to the side and folks are coming through our front doors looking for help.
What would you say to an employer who is looking for work? And there are many businesses in the Pikes Peak region, I can only speak to this area, where I see help wanted, help wanted, help wanted over and over again. What would you say to an employer about why former members of the military make great team members?
Absolutely. Well, you just used a key word, team members. The military mindset is we are in this as a team. It's actually kind of hard when you're working with a transitioning service member and you're practicing interviews and resumes, and they keep using the word we, and you got to say, look, you got to say I. This employer is not hiring your whole squad. Yeah. They're hiring you. But underneath that, and we work with employers on this, and we have over 150 different companies that we've put people in. And matter of fact, we're anticipating at the end of this month that we're going to hit our 3,000th placement here in the community. And we're going to make a big deal out of that because that's a huge achievement. But for employers, I think they see the good with the military, the way they're resilient, the way they follow instructions, their reliability, their inquisitiveness. I think the military community here has grasped that concept and know that there is a pipeline of talent out there. It's just a matter of matching it up. A lot of the folks that we work with at Mount Carmel, when we first meet with them on the employment side, they can tell me what they don't want to do. And ironically, a lot of times it's what they were doing in the military. But as we go through that, we find out what they really do want to do. But that takes time to figure that out. We have various exercises. We put them with mentors in the industry they're interested in. But once they figure out what they want to do, and we find a partner out there that's looking for people, our job at Mount Carmel is to connect those dots, if you will. And your next guest is going to be another perfect example for how we were able to line that up.
Well, that's terrific. And there are many careers in the military that do have a civilian counterpart, but there are some careers that basically don't. If you were driving a tank or a foot soldier, well, probably not so many civilian matchups, but that person has a passion. They have a desire, maybe helping them find out what is it that they want to do next. And you can take that and then move them in their journey in life.
You're absolutely right, Mike. There is a challenge out there on translating those military skills to a civilian occupation. But what I want the listeners to understand, and the folks that have worn the uniform and the spouses that have stood next to them all this time, they understand is there's a set of skills there, life skills, that you can apply to any industry out there. And then there's a functional skill that you also acquire while you're in the military. So we try to highlight that when an individual comes to us looking for what am I going to do as a civilian career, it's all too often they go, well, I don't have anything to offer. And we walk through that process during our peer navigation. And by the time they're done, they're like, wow, I actually have a lot of skills. And we just have to highlight that to them and then codify it. And then we sell that to employers to get these individuals a shot at getting hired.
I think one of the best things the military does, no matter what branch or what rank you are, leadership. And every good organization needs good leaders at all levels of the rung because it makes a difference. It can make a business very profitable by having great leadership.
Absolutely. And as we tell our clients, leadership is also based on followership. The military, there's always somebody on top. So even though you're a leader in your own right, you're also a follower. And it goes the other way. The young troop that comes in, he or she has responsibilities as well. So it is a great environment to grow those skills and then apply them in a civilian community.
We're speaking to Paul Price, Director of Operations for Mount Carmel Veterans Service Center, retired Air Force Colonel. Paul, in order to do the great work that Mount Carmel does, you need partners. You need that community. You need people who help raise funds, but you also need community ambassadors. How does someone join the team, so to speak?
Absolutely. Partners is they're a critical aspect to Mount Carmel's ability to provide services. We started a program about 2 years ago called Community Ambassadors, and we have about 82 of those folks right now. And we bring them together on a bi-monthly basis to provide them updates on what we've done, where we're going. And what we look at this group for is two things. One is provide me feedback on what you hear out there. What are you hearing in the way of need and the way of Mount Carmel? Give us that feedback. But then the second aspect of this, we look for them to be our advocates, to go into their different segments of the community and say, Mount Carmel can help, whether it's military, active military, or it's veterans, or it's the community at large. These ambassadors are kind of our spokespersons, if you will, in the local community. So the way to get involved in that is if you have a passion for taking care of the military community, we ask you to reach out to Mount Carmel, and we would welcome people to come in and maybe even just check it out. We have meetings in and these folks come in, and we go about 2 hours long to get feedback and provide updates. And the ambassador is another unique aspect to Mount Carmel. These folks, they do it for free. Again, they have a passion for this, and we try to include them in our approach on delivering services.
Well, Paul, as I understand it, you came to Mount Carmel 5 years ago as a client. Now you're the director of operations. Wow. Tell us a story.
It's been quite a journey. I actually left the military in 2008. I went into the civilian sector in Washington, D.C., where I was at the time. And then in 2014, the rat race of Washington, D.C. had worn on me to a point that I said, where was I most happy? And it was Colorado Springs. So I came back out here, and I ran into a lady by the name of Nanette Burde, and she runs a program called Prep Connect 360. And a lot of folks out there have been through it. It's a transition course. We've graduated 842 students through that program. We're offering it every other month. But she saw me and said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I had spent 25 years in the Air Force. I thought I was grown up. And she staggered me with that question. So I ended up going through her class, and I realized there were a lot of people in the community that were looking for the same thing I was looking for. Where do I plug in? How do I network? What do I want to be when I grow up? So I went through that class. I guess I asked too many questions and gave too many recommendations that they hired me on to facilitate that class. And I did that for probably about a year. And then they asked me to take over transition and employment as the director there. I did that for about another 2 years. And then in June of 2020, I stepped into the director of operations role, overseeing all the mission aspects there at Mount Carmel, working for Bob McLaughlin and Jay Cimino.
Congratulations. And thanks again for everything the Mount Carmel's doing. Final question I have, as we are up against the clock here in this segment, is Mount Carmel's gearing up for some fun fall events. I hear there's something called a Hoedown for Heroes. What would you like to let us know about what's on the way?
Well, let me start off by saying thank you again for having me here. Mount Carmel, as we started our talk today, expanding our services, but we're also expanding our programs in-house. In October, we've kicked off our Cooking Matters for Families. We're doing that every Wednesday evening. We start at 5:30 and run for a couple hours. The classes are really for parents and caregivers, and we're for kids that are about 8 years old or older. And we cook and share meals together. It's all free. Everything's provided. And we really use this as a way to bring clients to the table, literally to the table. And it's worked very well in the past, and we're bringing it back starting in October. Also, we've started a writing workshop series. We're doing this every Thursday. We run from 5 to 6:30, and that writing workshop is in conjunction with our art expression workshop. Remember, we also have equine therapy. We've started a music program on Monday nights where folks can come in, and we're not going to make, the next American Idol by any means, but it's a forum where veterans and active duty folks and family members can get together in an environment that's welcoming. And they play a little music, but there's a lot of discussion going on. And of course, we have yoga, and then our women's veterans group has started back up again, and we kicked that off Friday from 12:30 to 1:30 during the day. And all of these programs are at Mount Carmel. They're all free. We just ask people to give us a call at 772-7000 or go on our website, our new website that we just kicked off last week, veterancenter.org. We do have a couple major events that are coming up. That would be our Hoedown. Our Hoedown is our annual fundraiser. That is going to be on the 5th of November. We'll be bringing in a live band. We're going to be at the Boot Barn again this year. This will be our third event. We usually have between 450 and 500 people. There's a silent auction that we start about a week before. It's online, but then that night at the Boot Barn, we also have that. We've got Diane Derby, a local news anchor. She is going to be our MC that night. We do have some surprise guests that are going to be joining us. So we ask people to continue to watch our website for more details. We do have sponsor package anywhere from $200 to $10,000. Again, this is our big event because it allows us to support those programs that we do throughout the year. I also like to highlight as a whole community event is that we have our food distributions, and we're still doing those every month across the street from Mount Carmel. We partner with the Norris Penrose Center, their upper parking lot, and the next one will be October 14th and 28th. We kick off at 11 o'clock. Folks pull up in their cars. It's all free. We load them up with food, and we do this for the entire community.
Nice. And you have to let Mount Carmel know you're coming, or do you just show up?
You just show up. Yep, you just show up. I do want to highlight one event if I can. Sure. It's called Retiree Day. In the past, Peterson Air Force Base in Fort Carson, they have done programs for Retiree Appreciation Day. Because of COVID, they weren't able to do that. Mount Carmel, with a couple of our key partners, have joined together. So on the 23rd of October at 9 o'clock in the morning, we'll run all day until 3 o'clock. We're going to be doing presentations for veterans and their families, and we're going to have between 20 and 30 vendors there that support that community. Everything from health to finances, how to buy a house is even there. I mean, we have all kind of vendors that are going to be there. This is a free event. It's going to be at Mount Carmel. This is our first time doing Retiree Day, but we're looking forward to it. And the installations are also supporting us as well.
All right. And when you do retire, you need to change a few things, and that's great that you're offering that service. Paul, it was good to catch up with you again.
Always a pleasure, Mike. Thank you very much.
It's our pleasure as well. You're listening to Tactical Advantage. Mike Lewis covering for John Register. This is KPPF.
If you're Medicare eligible and military connected, Rich Lewis and Medicare Mentors will guide you through setting up coverage to make sure that you have the right options. Call Rich Lewis at Medicare Mentors at 719-886-3377. Medicare Mentors, personal guidance at no cost consultation for military connected service members. Committed to advocate for you today and all of your tomorrows. Proud sponsors of Tactical Advantage. It's time every Saturday morning at Star Dental Institute on KPPF. Dr. Gary Moore and his staff specialize in general dentistry, dentures, and orthodontics, as well as sedation dentistry and dental implants at affordable rates. With COVID-19 restrictions being lifted, now is the perfect time to visit Star Dental Institute, Colorado Springs' premier full-service dentistry office and one-day denture service center. The message is basic. It's safe to come back to the dentist. To schedule an appointment, call 719-597-7979 or online at dentalcoloradosprings.com. Star Dental Institute, proud sponsor of Tactical Advantage. In today's tough economic times, it can be hard to make sure you're working with companies that have your best interest at heart. Because of this, you can count on the Wire Nut to go the extra mile to make sure that you and your investments are protected. You can trust the Wire Nut for licensed HVAC technicians, master electricians, and plumbers. The Wire Nut is your complete home service company. They strive to make sure you are comfortable in your home and that your home is safe. Call the Wire Nut Home Services at 719-465-5902. Online at thewirenut.com. Proud sponsor of the Tactical Advantage.
Now, back to Tactical Advantage.
And Mike Lewis covering for John Register as we continue on Tactical Advantage on KPPF. And our last guest, Paul Price, mentioned the guest that we're about to introduce a little bit because we're excited to bring you in. Amon Turcios, welcome to Tactical Advantage.
Thank you, Mike.
It's great to have you here. Well, let's talk about your story because I want to hear about it. You're a U.S. Army veteran. Mount Carmel has had a huge impact on helping your transition into civilian life. But let's go back to your career in the Army. What did you do for the U.S. Army?
I operated and repaired the Patriot missile system.
Wow, that's awesome. That's great. How long are you in the Army?
4 years.
4 years. All right. And then you transition off, so you're now a veteran. Tell us about anything you'd like to share with your Army career, what you learned from it, and how that's helping you in your future life.
Well, prior to the military, going to the recruiter, I wanted a job that involved something that I could take out into the civilian world. So I scored very high on my ASVAB and was able to achieve the goal of being an operator and maintainer for the Patriot missile system. I truly enjoyed it. I felt I was definitely gifted for it. I really stuck out when I was in Saudi Arabia in 1998. There was quite a few Patriot units there, and I was nominated the best in the battalion at that time. So that's all the Patriot units for that entire unit. I was the best.
Congratulations.
And what stuck out, there was a time that it was a launching system that was lost. I mean, not physically lost, but it was lost with the satellites. Okay. And so part of my job is to operate and repair, and then there's another side that just does a repair. And it's Saudi Arabia, it's hot, so I'm like, okay, let these guys do their job. They couldn't fix it. Then the two warrant officers went to try to fix it. They couldn't fix it. So I had heard that they had called a company called Raytheon that actually makes those products, the radar and the launching systems. And there's a box called Engagement Control Station, which is a box where an officer, a communication guy, and we operate the system. So anyways, I went down range in the middle of the night. I looked at the GPS in another a device called the NFS North Finding System. I saw the numbers were all scrambled, so I waited and I looked up in the sky and I was waiting for a satellite to pass over. So as I started seeing the satellite to come, I reprogrammed the entire launching system. So I saw that all the numbers were syncing. That was good. But then I went up range to look at all my banks, and it was yellow now, not red. So I ended up calling higher to see if I was clear to do maintenance. I was cleared to do that, and within probably a couple hours, I had all 8 launching systems green.
Amazing. The notes that I was given before you and I met said that you were known as a person who could fix any problem. And just listening to you tell that story, I can understand why you had that reputation.
It was great. I really enjoyed it. It was my passion to really get into repair or just the behavior of the system itself. Part
of the defense of the United States of America, and how important that is in keeping the peace, so to speak. I mean, this is a major issue that you dealt with.
Oh yes, because being the launching bank being red or yellow, there's no way you could fire the missile. It would not fire.
Wow.
So that's 4 missiles that would be down out of 36 total. Yeah. That's a huge thing.
Yeah, I mean, if the order came down from the chain of command that those missiles were to be used and they were not usable, can you imagine possible implications throughout the world? And you were there to correct the problem. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, tell us now, let's go ahead and move. Now you've left the Army. You're in Colorado Springs, but you've had some challenges since you left the Army. What would you like to share?
I've had some mental health issues. I definitely lost everything I could imagine due to my mental health issues. Lost a job, wife left, daughter's gone. Friends can't deal with me in and out of the hospital multiple times. Been a struggle. But, there's been various VAs that, they treat veterans some way or better than others. There's been a struggle with an abundant amount of medication that I've been through since 2005 up until now. But I'm doing great. It's really just to be persistent and not to give up. And I'm also a believer in a higher power myself.
That's terrific. Let's go ahead and dive into that. But I'd like to bring the Mount Carmel piece in. How did you learn about Mount Carmel?
I landed in Colorado Springs, staying at an extended day hotel. I ended up going to the VA here, asking for how I can get a job. And then the VA sent me to Pikes Peak Workforce. And I spoke with the gentleman, Bill Spindler, who helps disabled veterans. And then he referred me to Mount Carmel. And then I met Paul. And then I ended up going to Prep 360. And I think Prep 360 is an amazing program. I learned a lot. I thought my resume was great, but it was much more than just a resume. It was learning how to communicate with an employer that has no idea what the military is or even the acronyms might be. The other great things that I learned, it was great to have interviews with my other team members that are there for Prep 360. That was really good to get an assessment of, for instance, if I'm playing with a pen as I'm getting an interview with one of my teammates, just point out the nervousness, point out, anything that would detract from an employer not to want to hire me. I also enjoyed to be able to read real resumes and get an idea what HR looks at and try to simplify my resume versus these resumes that I see with people with PhDs and extensive experience. But I really didn't have much time to review and really get an idea of what's going on.
Let's go ahead, for the benefit of those folks who are listening right now, what would you say to someone who's thinking about seeking out the services of Mount Carmel and how they've helped you? And what would you like to say?
Mount Carmel has resources, and I don't want to say just resources, but they have many programs that are very beneficial, whether it be mental health, whether it be housing, employment, training, cooking. I mean, I really don't know the list that they really have, but it's pretty extensive. I really appreciate it. One thing that really sticks out to me, it's not VA, it's a separate entity. And as I was coming out of the military, working with the VA, I was very hesitant to talk to Mount Carmel, but after experiencing what I've experienced with them, it's been wonderful.
Terrific. Well, you shared with us, and thank you, that you did have some mental health challenges that you're working through, that you're getting better. I believe that you mentioned hearing voices and things like that, but how's your journey going now in your recovery?
It's pretty good. It is pretty good. I enjoy, so with this VA now that I have, I've been talking to my psychiatrist every single week for over 2.5 years now, which is very rare. I'm not sure how I really got that blessing, but I hope every veteran gets to experience that. The other blessings that I've had with Mount Carmel is that I felt the touch of people's heart to want to help me and help other veterans. And it's kind of, I speak with veterans myself and then a couple active duty guys that they struggle here and there, but I'm here to listen to them, not to judge them, give them my experience. And if they want my opinion, they can have it. But ultimately, they really do enjoy just listening to what they have to say.
It sounds like listening to your story and what's happened for you at Mount Carmel, there's a community where you can connect with people who are helping each other.
Yes.
And how important is that would you say, to where you are now and your healing?
Yes, it's very, very important.
Thank you for sharing, because I know some folks a little bit hesitant to share, and congratulations on where your journey has taken you so far. And I still go back to that story about when you were on active duty and the missile systems. It's like, that blows me away, how you solved that problem. And again, thanks. I would like to talk about, I understand at one point in your life you were training for triathlons and marathons and 10Ks. That sounds like a good Army person, getting out there and doing the PRT and the run. Tell me about that.
I truly enjoyed it. You know, in the Army, I had a physical test score. Its max is supposed to be 300 points, but my score 348. And it was so I took off from the Army, and then I went to do lots of 10Ks, a couple of triathlons, and I really truly enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed it. But in 2005, that's when all my mental health issues came and all the wheels fell off. Is what happened.
If someone is listening to you now that is having mental health challenges, what advice, and again, every person, it sounds like, has to deal with it in certain different ways, but do you have an overall piece of advice or recommendation you'd like to give someone?
I definitely would utilize the hotlines. There's several out there. Two that I'll point out, which is a VA hotline. Anyone can call any VA hospital, and there will be a prompt to connect with the hotline. They're really good as far as listening, talking, suggestions, even with medication. There's a local line. It's called Colorado Crisis Line. I really enjoy speaking with them too, because there are people that do have a diagnosis, and so they can relate. That's pretty good too. With an employer that I was with, they have a line too. It's really amazing. I think mental health is extremely important, to not be afraid to ask for help. I do understand that there is a tremendous amount of fear out there to ask for help, but it's okay to ask for help. I think for myself, if I hadn't asked for help, I would be in a hell, and then I would not be the person that I want to be to give back to other people. I'll be stuck on myself.
Man, in the last segment with Paul Price, he mentioned Prep Connect 360. You went through that at Mount Carmel. Tell us how going through Prep Connect 360 helped you, and you got a successful position. You landed at Lockheed Martin this year.
Yes, I do, and thank you, by the way, Mike. Well, in the military, when we all exit out of the military, there is a transitioning assistant program that we're all supposed to focus on and get us into working in the civilian sector. But most of us are just very focused on trying to get out, and I completely understand that. And then so it just takes you to what do we want to do? It gives us time to think and reflect of what do we really want to do when we grow up. And then Prep 360 also helps us to get to the point. What is the next step to get to that point?
Right. And it worked out for you. You went to Lockheed Martin and getting your self-confidence back. In fact, sounds like at Lockheed Martin, you were kind of doing some things similar to what you did in the Army. You worked on the Orion capsule and research satellites. Tell us a little bit about what projects they had you doing.
So I've been in the hardware or electronic industry for about 25 years, from design to manufacturing to repair. With Lockheed Martin Space, I would build hardware for the hypersonic missile, the Fleet Ballistic Missile, the Orion capsule that's going to the moon on 2024, hardware for that. I've also what's really interesting is my immediate family's name is on a hard drive on the rover that landed this year on February.
Wow.
So that's
neat.
Pretty cool too.
Yeah, that's a great story. That's great. And you're telling it here on Tactical Advantage. Wonderful. So getting back in the workforce, when you went back to work at Lockheed Martin, that must have felt good to kind of get back into the game, so to speak.
It's kind of like being in the service again, because, we're building things that protect our country, protect our people, arm our service members with something more efficient than what we used to have in the past. It's great, that we're exploring space the way we do.
All right. I have a couple of fun facts that were handed to me that I want to ask you about. We like to do this with our guest. Something that you've done in your past. I understand that you have rescued, about 100 kittens? Tell us about that.
So when I used to live in Seaside, California, I lived in a trailer house for probably about 5 years, maybe 6. So anyways, I would go underneath trailer homes and have a bag and a flashlight on my forehead and just go around, even when there's cobwebs, spider webs, whatever, and just grab the little kittens and put them in the bag. And then I would raise them, even bottle feed a couple of them. And it's really amazing. As little kittens, they knew where to use what cat litter is. And then when they were probably, I think, about 6 weeks old, then I could take them to the SPCA and have them to be adopted.
Terrific. Wow. You made a difference in the lives of kittens, and that's terrific.
Yeah.
Also, one other fun fact, I understand you love music. Any kind of music particular that you love listening to?
I love listening and singing at the same time. I like Patsy Cline, Eddie James, Sean James, Corey Taylor from Slipknot, Amy Lee from Evanescence.
Ever done any karaoke?
I have, but I'm not that good.
All right. Well, Aman, it was a pleasure to meet you. I really mean that. And congratulations on your success, great career in the military, and now what you're doing in civilian life, and for sharing your story. You're making a difference in other people's lives who are listening.
All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here.
It's a pleasure. Again, thank you. And I look forward to seeing what you're going to be doing 4, 5, 6 years from now. You're listening to Tactical Advantage on KPPF. Mike Lewis covering for John Register.
Stay tuned for more valuable information on Tactical Advantage.
If you're Medicare eligible and military connected, Rich Lewis and Medicare Mentors will guide you through setting up coverage to make sure that you have the right options. Call Rich Lewis at Medicare Mentors at 719-886-3377. Medicare Mentors, personal guidance at no cost consultation for military connected service members. Committed to advocate for you today and all of your tomorrows. Proud sponsors of Tactical Advantage. Heard every Saturday morning at 8 a.m. on KPPF. It's time to smile again. At Star Dental Institute, Dr. Gary Moore and his staff specialize in general dentistry, dentures, and orthodontics, as well as sedation dentistry and dental implants at affordable rates. With COVID-19 restrictions being lifted, now is the perfect time to visit Star Dental Institute, Colorado Springs' premier full-service dentistry office and one-day denture service center. The message is basic. It's safe to come back to the dentist. To schedule an appointment, call 719-597-7979 or online at dentalcoloradosprings.com. Star Dental Institute, proud sponsor of. In today's tough economic times, it can be hard to make sure you're working with companies that have your best interest at heart. Because of this, you can count on the Wire Nut to go the extra mile to make sure that you and your investments are protected. You can trust the Wire Nut for licensed HVAC technicians, master electricians, and plumbers. The Wire Nut is your complete home service company. They strive to make sure you are comfortable in your home and that your home is safe. Call the Wire Nut Home Services at 719-465-5902. Online at thewirenut.com. Proud sponsor of the Tactical Advantage.
Now, back to Tactical
It has been
Advantage.
fun and so informative covering for John Register, Mike Lewis on Tactical Advantage, KPPF. You can also find this if you were listening to the show today and you said, you know what, that's some great information. I want to share this. You can listen to Tactical Advantage where you find podcast. It's easy to find. Just do a search for Tactical Advantage and then you can share this great information. Once again, want to thank our guests today, Jennifer Smith, Paul Price, and Aman Turcios, our guest on Tactical Advantage. And just a quick reminder, Paul mentioned it. We also talked about it at the top of the show, a brand new redesigned website. If you've been there before, take a look at the new redesign, veteranscenter.org. It makes it just a little bit more user-friendly for you to go through. You can find out all the upcoming events, how Mount Carmel is helping our community. There's a lot of things going on, including food drives, that hoedown that's coming up that Paul talked about. Again, go to veteranscenter.org. It's all redesigned, and it's there waiting for you. Tactical Advantage on KPPF. Again, Mike Lewis covering for John Register. John will be back soon.
This has been Tactical Advantage with John Register, heard every Saturday at 8 a.m. on KPPF, presented by Mount Carmel Veteran Service Center in partnership with Medicare Mentors, WireNut Home Services, and Star Dental Institute. Listen to the companion podcast on kppfradio.podbean.com.